And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It would be the 21st of April, 2026. It's Tuesday. Hope you're having a good day. I'm Gary Kaltbaum. Did I say that? Hey, I want to thank Adam Sarhan for doing the show yesterday. Yesterday was somewhat an emergency vet visit for our beloved dog Winston, who, as you know, is my shadow. And as we have told you that he's going to be 14 in the next couple of months. 3 years ago, had diagnosed with aggressive cancer. We did 2 surgeries because it came back a second time. And then about 18 months ago, really came back and in a place where you can't do surgery. And they said, I think they said 6 months, and it's 18 months. And he's great, but just in the last few days, lethargy, not eating, and they told us you'll know a lot if he stops eating. So we brought him in. They looked inside everything. Everything looks okay. So I don't know what it is, old age, whatever. But he slept well. He hung with me. Watched the Knicks give up a game last night. They should have won. He feels sorry for me, and he's resting okay. But as my shadow, I know there is an eventuality, and you try to prepare. There's no prep. As you know, we had Cosmo, and Cosmo, I think was 13 or 14, and just out of nowhere they said, and you all know, right? You all have dogs or pets. Not easy. But anyway, it was a good day, and he watched WrestleMania with me this weekend. It was terrific, and he watched Monday Night Raw last night with me, and he loves professional wrestling too. At least I think. Anyway, thank you to Adam always being there when I need him. In case you don't know, this is serious talk on everything that affects you, and there were some things today affecting. We'll do the market, the economy, the Middle East. A lot of news late in the day. We'll have that right out of the get-go. And, of course, we'll do everything else that matters to you, your job, your industry, without any ulterior motive, agenda, or bias. We know we're doing a good job when we get hit from the left and hit from the right, or complimented from the left or complimented from the right. I forget to say that. And if you do not get this radio show in your city, we will post it at GaryK.com. We'll post it on our X feed also. And if you don't follow us on X, you should. Just put our name in. If you'd like to email us, just be nice, because we'll be nice back, as long as you don't like Hamas. So just late breaking news. The markets were all over the map today, back and forth, because of oil prices back and forth. And late in the day, the market was doing much better because of stories that we were going to meet with the Iranians on peace talks, because I think the ceasefire supposedly is. Can I tell you, there's so many moving parts. I think the ceasefire was to today. Don't quote me on that, but I think today. Well, it's been called off. Iran will not attend talks in Pakistan because of all the threats. So J.D. Vance, the trip has been called off. And just late in the day, the Dow dropped down 300, S&P down 45, NASDAQ 144, NASDAQ 100 110. we're going to leave it at that. How's that? We're just going to leave it at that. And of course, that can change. And may I state for the record, oil prices went up like $4 off of the news after dropping all day long. Which means who knows what's next. As you know, the president did threaten civilization, which you know is not going to happen. But we don't know if he's going to do another campaign of bombing. We just don't know with him. We'll see. Let's move on, and if we hear anything else or see anything else in our time allotted, we'll yelp. We had to give up, do other news. Apple, Tim Cook going bye-bye. And the stock was down about $7 today on that, 2.5%. A new guy going to be running the show. And I hearken back. Two of the worst predictions I've ever made had something to do with Apple. One was when they first came out with the iPod, I said, it's just going to be a Walkman. And the other one was when Steve Jobs passed away, I said, Apple's doomed. And obviously they were not, because Warren Buffett's made a lot of money on the stock. Anyway, Tim Cook is resigning. I guess he's going to be, what do they call it? Emeritus? Is that how you pronounce it? Emeritus? And that was big news today, or yesterday also. So I wanted to bring that up. I don't have an opinion on Apple stock at this time, but I will tell you the numbers look, for the size of the company, pretty decent. Pretty darn decent. I haven't really read up about the new guy yet. I read somewhere he's in the hardware part of the business, I think. And that's some other big news. Apple is the number 2 stock as far as market cap, I do believe. I think Nvidia is number 1. And that's 2 big stories today. And of course, we hope cooler heads prevail. And they all figure things out. I'm going to withhold comment because it is a very, I want to get to an end on it before I really start commenting. Anyway, rough finish to the day, news driven. We're in the midst also of earnings season. We're going to go through some of those names also, both good and bad. I got 6 pages of earnings this week. I'll probably have 15 next week. Next week, I believe, is going to be Google, Amazon, Meta, Apple. I think probably, or maybe Apple's the next week. The banks, a lot of them have reported already. As you know, they're the greatest bookies on earth. If I had to do it over again, I'd run a bank. Or start my own lottery, the other great business of our government. Anyway, that be the story of the end of the day. But the leading groups in artificial intelligence, of data storage, memory, energy of the data centers, construction of, they got no problems. And semiconductors. Those areas have really no problems. Very, very strong since the big gap up day on April 8th on the ceasefire day. By the way, that's how you figure it out. April 8th, right? They said 10 days, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Tomorrow would be today is the 10th from April 8th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Today would be the day. All right. Okay. I'm going to have to formulate tonight. What would that mean if we start butting heads again? Up next, what else is going on? Got lots to cover. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So there was some other news today. The nominee for the head of the central bank, his last name is Warsh, I believe his first name is Kevin, was on Capitol Hill today. Since he was nominated by a supposedly Republican president, the Republicans were making nice with him. The Marxist Party were asking or just being tough with their questions. I still have not figured out what a central bank does to help you, and I think all they do is cause damage, but nobody's listening to me. I find it funny. Well, the big questions were about whether he's going to be independent. And he said, of course, we're going to be independent. Of course we are. Does not matter what the president says. Yeah, my arse. You got a president that drummed up BS on Jay Powell to maybe even get him arrested. And because Jay Powell wouldn't do what he wants, and spends every day yapping about the central bank and lowering interest rates, and all of a sudden the president's not going to say something on a guy he nominates. You do realize if the first meeting, this guy Warsh with the central bank, and there's a bunch of people voting, do not lower rates. All of a sudden, Kevin Warsh is going to be the Antichrist. And Trump's going to say, darn, what a terrible pick. Like he's been saying about the Supreme Court. Trump's been going after people he nominated on the Supreme Court. Anyway, if this guy ends up being independent, I'd give him a standing ovation. Seriously. So, as we said, we're very news-driven right now. Very news-driven. And the Dow dropped, I don't know, 250, 300 points into the close. On news, there was not going to be any what have you. I'm getting my 5-minute out. Let's see. Yeah, we'll call it 250, something like that. Well, I don't see the news yet, but in the last 2 minutes, the Dow just rallied up 200 points. And the QQQ, which closed at 643.25, is already 646.77. So let's see if some other news came out. I don't have it yet, but obviously some other news came out. That's how we're dealing with this market right now. We're now worried or dependent on, are we going to have a meeting? Yes, we're going to have a meeting. No, we're going to have a meeting. I don't know. But the NASDAQ 100, dang. The Dow is up in the aftermarket 220 points. And the NASDAQ 100, 644.33 to 647.47. I think that's like 125 NASDAQ points. And that's what it lost in the last 15 minutes. So there's obviously news. I haven't seen it yet. If it comes out, we'll let you know. But look at that. As we do the show, welcome to war. I'm looking to see if anything has come out. I do not see it as of yet. Anyway, welcome to my world. Now the latest thing is they called off the trip. I do not see anything new. You know what it has to be? I'm going to predict it. I haven't seen it. Trump's going to pull another. We're going to give it another 10 days on a ceasefire. That's what I got to figure. That's my guess. Because there's no way the president is going to want to bomb again. And we know that was just rhetoric on destroying civilization and all that stupid crap. I think we're getting used to that at this juncture. And that's newsy. But let's go back to where I was going to get into until the move. Just very strong action in artificial intelligence. All that. And there's a line in the markets called lockout move. I have to tell you, they're locking out. Normally, what do we tell you about? Stair steps? Up 2 steps, down 1? Up 2 steps, down 1? This one has gone up 10 steps without 1. And we're talking individual names. Not all, but a bunch of them. Straight up. Straight up. Straight up. And these were areas that were already strong before the war. They, in the midst of the war, they held up better, though very much wide and loose, 80-point swings. And they're just reasserting themselves going into earnings season. And you know the names. We've mentioned them several thousand times. And it's a lockout. We're very specific on where we want to buy things. Coming out of ranges. Pulling back into support levels. Just ain't happening yet. Ain't happening. We'll let you know if it does. But that's the story. No ifs, ands, or buts. The strength. Semiconductors. Memory. Data centers. The construction and energy of the data centers. And all that crap. Up next, well, we'll see if any news comes out and whatever else. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I am not seeing any news to cause the market, after dropping like a rock in the last half hour, to get it pretty much back in after hours. In fact, Iran, comes from Iran. Trump must tell Americans the truth about Epstein Island if he wants the Hormuz open. This is weird. All right, other news, other things going on. Congresswoman Chertoff McCormick of Florida resigning. She was indicted on theft. I think it was like $5 million. By the way, she is indicted. That's 3 now. And I'm pretty sure there may be a 4th soon. Just letting you know. Also in the news, the Mets try to break a 12-game losing streak tonight. I have to tell you, just because I'm a crazy Mets fan, I went to bet the game. Because I figured, all right, if they lose another game, okay, fine, but the odds are going to not be bad. They're minus 150, meaning if I bet 100, I lose 150. That's insanity. Seriously. So I doubt I'm going to bet. Anyway, that's Mets. Next, the United Kingdom, a place I love. As you know, I have been, I think, 13 times now. 13 times. And I absolutely love London. Love London. But so many other places to go. Children 17 and under, born after 2008, lifelong ban on buying cigarettes. They want to end cigarette smoking in the United Kingdom. You think they could ever do that here? I doubt it, right? But they're doing that in the United Kingdom. I thought that was interesting. President Trump extends the U.S. ceasefire with Iran. I'm a freaking genius. Yep. I'm reading. Yep. And I got to tell you, normally I'd say, it's the Trump. No, I think it's the right thing. I'm just reading. Okay. The IRGC says missiles are ready to launch. And, everybody's making fun of Trump. Here's Governor Newsom from California. Open the Strait, close the Strait. We are blockading, lift sanctions, impose new sanctions. JG's in Pakistan. JD is not in Pakistan. Still blockading. We have an agreement. There is no agreement. That is fake news. Bombing again soon. Maybe. Yeah, okay. Trump did the right thing. And that's why we moved up in the after hours. I think the president realizes nothing good comes from attacking. And the best thing to do is at least have a ceasefire, and we'll see where it goes. Now, I don't know if they're going to change anything on the blockade or not, but this is big stuff, kids. In the after hours, oil prices have dropped a couple of bucks after spiking up in the last 30 minutes. Or Trump is catering to the market, whichever. We would rather have a ceasefire. So we're good. He's going to get made fun of. Now we're good. So just letting you know, in after hours, the Dow is up. I got the Dow up about 170. And I have the NASDAQ 100, which will always be a little bit better, about 0.5%, which is like 125. Look at us, the roving reporters. But I want to go back again where the leadership is, and it is just this artificial intelligence thing. And there are plenty of people that say it's BS. There's plenty of people that say it's money that's not well spent. I got news for you. The market is saying otherwise. The market is saying otherwise. And that's the story right now. Futures bidding up. Some of the strength that pulled in the last hour, banging up. And there you go. Here we go. Trump on Truth Social. Based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and upon the request of Field Marshal, whatever his name is, and the Prime Minister of Pakistan, we've been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed the military to continue the blockade and in all other respects remain ready and able, will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded one way or the other. I'm sorry, he's making that part up. That's his excuse. Sorry, I had to say that. Don't want to go after the president during war like that. But that part's made up. Trump knows nothing good happens attacking because he's getting killed in the polls. And the one thing he's had going for him is the market's been stronger. And believe me, that matters. The market's been stronger. I take that back. Has been strong. Anyway, I can't wait to watch some of the news tonight. If I were him, it's exactly what I would do. All right. Other areas of the market, we had told you. We thought defense had topped. Guess what? Defense has topped. We were right. We would avoid new commitments to defense stocks right now. And Northrop Grumman was down 40 some odd bucks on earnings today. I don't know what's going to pop in the morning because they were hitting today late in the day, the airlines, the cruise lines, because oil popped. But if oil drops in the morning, they'll probably be up in the morning. But we'll see. We would avoid most healthcare, most of the consumer staples. We would have said airlines and cruise lines. And by the way, they're not in great shape either, though. United Health, we're being asked about that, was up 22 bucks today. I think it was up over 30. Earnings and sales. Earnings was zero. Zero earnings growth. But the story goes they get paid by the government. And I guess the market was happy. We're going to stay away from something like that right now because overall healthcare. And I got to tell you, there's some healthcare stocks with the market near highs. There's a bunch of Stryker, surgical stuff and reconstructive stuff. New yearly low at or around. So not thrilled there. So there are areas. Now I also want to bring up the transports because it was up another 600 today. But that's only because of CAR. One of the greatest short squeezes I've seen in a long time. Stocks gone from 100 to 700 in what? 4 weeks? And it's all a short squeeze. I'm not in it. Wish I was. Up next, we'll wind you up. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. So, this is a story. Doesn't tie into you and your money, but it's a story. You know this Ilhan Omar, right? Well, she has to put in financials. All the politicians have to put in financials. And recently said something to the effect of 25 to 30 million. And of course, the right have been blasting her. How do you go from where you are to 25 to 30 million in a matter of, how many years she's been in Washington, D.C.? Well, she's now come out and changed it to something like $95,000 and said the numbers were wrong. And I guess you blame accounting or whatever. I got only one problem with all that. The big numbers were announced 90 days ago. You would think somebody would know she's only worth 95,000 and not between 25 and 30 million. And the excuse is, well, we got these businesses, that's my husband, this and that. Let me just explain life to you. And it's not just her on the left. The corruption on the right is just as bad. You should see the insider trading going on. This is pure. I'd like to jump and do a deep dive on where she's coming from. I'd love to. Anyway, just another. And in case you don't know, on X, there are actual X feeds on insider trading by all these people in Washington, D.C. As I've said to you, people on the Committee on Healthcare are buying stocks and selling stocks in biotech and making killings. On the defense committees, making killings on different contracts being signed. You go to jail. Well, you first get indicted, then you're tried, and then you go to jail for what they all do. Martha Stewart went to jail for 1/1000th of what they're getting away with in D.C. I'm embarrassed. Our government. I'm embarrassed. And I'm not mentioning the head honcho today on that too. I just mentioned them. Just letting you know. Our disdain for DC and why we can't stand any of them has been completely earned. Completely earned. And that's a little bit of Ilhan Omar and all that crap. And one of the squad came out today and said that Cuba's healthcare system is much better than ours. Isn't that interesting? Cuba. I bet. I doubt if she had like an appendix needed to be taken out, she would go to Havana General instead of the Mayo Clinic. But that's what's going on. Back on markets. We'll see how we open up tomorrow. The president extended the ceasefire, made up a story on why he's I don't want to get into that. Sorry. But he's extending the ceasefire, and that's good news. I do believe, what are we in late April now? We're getting closer, and there is that election. The Democrats will win and take over the committees and subpoena everybody in the Trump family. They will impeach Trump, but you can't get him out unless there's 60 votes. It's going to be one hell of 2 years coming this January. And it all depends on, we'll see how many they take. I think they're going to beat the living crap out of the Republican Party in the House. I don't think they can get the Senate. They would really have to run the table on how many states are up for grabs. I think North Carolina, I think they're going to win. Well, I'll do a little more homework on that. If they get the Senate, that's even tougher. The markets, I'm amazed at the tenacity and the move off of the first ceasefire gap. And as you can see, markets are doing pretty well in the aftermarket on another ceasefire announcement after getting hit late in the day today after Iran called off the meeting and the worry that the ceasefire ends today and we're going to, what did Trump say? Something about the civilization, which ain't happening. So I'm thinking now we're not going to have any more war, but it's going to take time. And I think Trump's going to recognize that before Iran finally, and I don't want to say they're in the driver's seat, but I think to a certain point they are, even though the opposite's being said. You have a great evening. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Make sure you hug your family, hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well, be well. Until tomorrow, have a great one. Should be a newsy evening. Bye-bye.